Have you ever lied before? Come on now, tell the truth. Of course you have. We all have. Even if it's nothing more than shading the truth to spare someone's feelings, we've all done it. That doesn't make it right, doesn't excuse it. It just makes it so. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas. Today I'm continuing my short series on lessons I learned from my parents. Today's lesson is on lying, or to put it in more positive terms, on the importance of telling the truth. Yesterday I talked about the importance of taking responsibility for ourselves, owning it when we make mistakes. I talked about our tendency to want to shift blame to others for our shortcomings. In a way, this is a kind of lie. But today I want to talk more directly about what I learned about telling the truth and about lying. When I was little, my mother would use a euphemism. If she knew I was lying about something, she would ask me, "Are you telling me a story?" I suppose she didn't want to crush my little spirit and accuse me of flat out lying, but she also didn't want to let me get away with it. Telling a story in this sense is not a bad euphemism because every lie we tell is an alternate reality. It is a story we make up to cover the real truth of something that has happened, a fiction to replace the truth. So even though I think my mother used it as a kinder, gentler euphemism than the word lying, she really was onto something. The Bible talks frequently about the importance of telling the truth and condemning the practice of lying. Now, there's no extended discussion of it that I can find, but there are a lot of verses here and there about it. We immediately think, of course, of the 9th commandment in the 10 Commandments. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. This one's a little slippery, though, because from a strict interpretation of the text, it seems to refer to testimony, such as legal or public testimony, instead of a blanket condemnation of lying. But it still points to the importance of truth-telling. Lying, in this case, does actual harm to our neighbor. Proverbs contains a variety of pithy verbs about lying. One of the most direct is Proverbs 12:22. Lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but those who act faithfully are his delight. Unlike my mother, who sought to ease the sting of calling me a liar, the author of Proverbs puts it right out there. There's no sugarcoating it. He uses the word abomination, a word that is reserved in the Old Testament first for the activities and especially the religious practices of foreign nations, but also for the most serious sins that people in Israel committed. No two ways about it. Lying is an offense against God. Paul talks about it here and there also. For example, in Colossians 3, he says, "Put to death, therefore, whatever in you is earthly, fornication, impurity, passion, evil desire, and greed, which is idolatry. On account of these, the wrath of God is coming on those who are disobedient. These are the ways you also once followed when you were living that life. But now you must get rid of all such things: anger, wrath, malice, slander, and abusive language from your mouth. Do not lie to one another, seeing that you have stripped off the old self with its practices and have clothed yourselves with the new, which is being renewed in knowledge according to the image of its Creator." Notice how Paul includes lying as part of our old earthly life, that is, our life before we were renewed in Jesus Christ. He includes it in a list of pretty unsavory things. I think he includes it in this list also because of how much damage it does to the body of Christ. After all, if we can't trust one another, there is little possibility of true community. And that's really the point, isn't it? Lying breaks trust, and lack of trust damages the community. When we cannot trust each other, we can't plan our lives very well. We'd have to spend tremendous amount of time verifying everything that we need to know in order to make plans. We'd end up being essentially isolated from one another, both emotionally and even physically. We'd be separated emotionally because by nature we become emotionally distant from those we don't trust. We'd even become physically separated because, after all, who wants to be around people we can't trust? In short, lack of trust, lying, creates a world none of us really wants to live in. And now may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do, this day and in all the days ahead.